Today we will talk about prime numbers in Java. So we will find a program to find whether a number is prime or not. We will so before we begin, let's talk about prime numbers. So a prime number is a prime number which is perfectly divisible by only one and itself. So for example, 17 is a prime number since it can only be perfectly divided by 1 and 17. It can't be perfectly divided by any number. So, what we mean by perfectly divided? So, perfectly divided means that mod of a number with another number returns 0. So, let's take mod of 17 with 4. 17 mod 4 returns 1. It isn't 0. So, it means 17 is not perfectly divisible by 4. Uh, So first, this is our num variable in which we will store the number. I have taken the input from the user, and here is a found boolean variable. So found variable tells us whether our prime number, whether a perfect divisible aside from 1 and the number itself has been found. So by default it is false, but it will become true as soon as we find uh, number as soon as we find a number which can perfectly divide our input number. So now we have a for loop. So this is the whole for loop. Through this for loop we will try to prove that number is not prime. So uh, we have to check every possible number in a fixed range. So we will always start from 2 since prime number, since 1 doesn't count. So if a number can be divided by 1, it doesn't tell us anything about whether it is prime or not. uh, since we don't have to consider 1, we will start from 2. So our loop starts from 2 and it will go up to num minus 1. So if we enter 17, our loop will check all the numbers from 2 to 16, and in this range if any number can divide 17, uh, we will know that it's not a prime number. So that's our approach for this problem. So I am doing less than num since I don't have to check num. So if I entered 16, I will only go up to 15. I don't have to consider 16 since prime number says that it can be perfectly divisible by 1 and the number itself. So we are not going to check that those two numbers. We are going to check every other number in that range. So this loop goes from num 2 to num minus 1. Then here for every I, so for every number in that range, we are taking its modulus by modulus and we are checking whether it's 0. So if so suppose our num is 14 and I is 2 for now. So 2 mod 14 equals to 0 since 14 can be perfectly divided by true. Then our program will come into this statement. It will set the found variable to true since initially it was false. Now it is true. It is telling us that a perfectly divisible number has been found. Then we are breaking. So break statement is used to exit the loop body. So normally a loop only exits when this condition becomes false. But if we want to exit a loop based on a certain condition or right way, then we use the break keyword. So break keyword is used to exit from the loop body. It ends the loop right there. So as soon as this condition gets true, our program will set found equal to true and then it will break the loop. It won't go any further since we don't need to check other numbers as we have already found a number which can perfectly divide that number. So that's why we are breaking the loop. We don't need to go on. We need to stop it right here. Then after this loop, we are checking that if value of found is true. So if found is basically saying that if found is equal to true. So I can write it like this, but this style is not preferred since if found simply means that if found is true, then we will print that num is not a prime number. But else means if found is false, then we will print that it is a prime number. So let's run our program. Let's enter like 17. So now as you can see, it is telling us that 17 is a prime number. Similarly, let's enter 2. it's telling us that it's a prime number. And let's enter 4. So now it is telling us that 4 is not a prime number. So that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching.